I'm making this video because I saw a claim that was made on Mark 13, and they were accusing Jesus of making a false prophecy. And so I think it's kind of important that we address this. So I'm going to be going into Mark 13, and I'm going to be using the ESV, or any Bible will be fine, profound that they made an attempt to stick to the Word of God as it was originally recorded in Greek. So let's get into Mark 13. And so as he came out of the temple, one of his disciples came to him. Look, teacher, you see what wonderful stones and what wonderful buildings. Okay, so they're coming to him and they're like, wow, look at all these stones and these buildings in the Temple of Solomon. And then Jesus said to him, do you see these great buildings? There will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down. So Jesus then says, there will not be one stone left unturned. And the disciples are obviously probably shocked by this. To the point where we're about to get into, several of his disciples, they go to the Mount of Olives, Peter, James, John, and Andrew. So 4 of the 12 disciples are asking him in private, when will these things be, and what will be these signs be when all these things are about to be accomplished? So notice how they ask 2 questions. What will be the sign when all these things what will be these things be like the temple, and when will everything be accomplished? So they're asking them, like, what is the end of the age? I believe in some other gospels, that's how it's translated. And then it says, tell us, when will these things be, and when will the sign of the end be accomplished? And Jesus began to say to them, see that no one leads you astray. Many will come in my name's sake. I am he, and they will lead many astray. And when you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. This must take place, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places. There will be famines, but these are but the beginning of the birth pains. So he starts out by saying, hey, this is going to be a while, pretty much, is what he's saying. This needs to be placed, and you will hear wars, and there will be rumors of wars. And he's saying, this is just the beginning. This isn't where it ends. This is where it starts. And wars tend to be very protracted in general. In fact, in some wars we've had in our own history, lasted for over 100 years. We've had some wars. We've had some wars in the Roman Empire that lasted 30 years under I believe it was Emperor Maurice. So we're going to continue, and we're going to go into verse 9. Be on your guard, for they will deliver you over to councils, and there will be beaten in synagogues, and you will stand before governors and kings for my name's sake, and bear witness before them, and the gospel must first be proclaimed through all the nations. So he's saying that the gospel must first reach every nation before he returns. And then he says, then they will bring you to trial and deliver you over. Do not be anxious beforehand what you are about to say, whatever is given to you in that hour. It is not for you who speak, but the Holy Spirit. Your brother will deliver brother over to death, and the father his child, and children will rise against parents and have them put to death, and you will be hated for all by my name's sake. But to the one who endures to the end will be saved. So he's saying, endure. These things will happen to all of you. In fact, 11 of the first 12 of the 12 apostles were executed, and the 12th was John, and he was exiled to Patmos. And so now we go into verse 14. But when you see the abomination, desolation standing where he ought not to be, let the reader understand, then those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let one in the housetop no go down, nor enter his house to take anything out. But the one who is in the field not turn back in his cloak. And alas for women who are pregnant, those who are nursing infants in those days, pray that it may not happen in winter. For in those days there will be tribulation as not been from the beginning of the creation until now, and never will be. And the Lord had not cut short those days, no human being would be saved. But for the sake of the elect whom he has shortened the days, and then if anyone says to you, look, here is the Christ, look, here he is, do not believe them. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform signs and wonders, and lead astray, if possible, the elect. Be on guard, for I have told you all these things before it happened. And so let's break this down. And he says that there will be false prophets arising. And so what he's depicting is there are a lot of time, basically. He's going, hey, there will be false prophets. Many will say they are the Christ. Many will come in my name, but they will not. I have not sent them. There will be many people that coming in my name, but I would not have sent them. It's depicting a lot of time passing. And so then we go into the coming of the Son of Man. But in those days in tribulation, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light. The stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers of heaven will be shaken. And so what it's saying is there will be a lot of persecution. That's what he's saying. And then he says, and they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds in great glory. And then he will send out the angels and his elect from the four winds in the heavens and the earth. So what we're seeing is a symbolism of judgment in this. And then he goes on, and they say in verse 28, we're going to continue. From the fig tree learn its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and puts its leaves, you know summer is near. When you see these things take place, know that he is near at the very gates. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my word will not. And so he kind of shifts back. He splits, and he's talking about in the long term. Now he's talking about the near future, about the abomination and desolation, as prophesied by Daniel, starting in chapter 7 of Daniel. And we're going to actually go ahead and take a minute to read chapter 7. And then he says in Daniel chapter 7, and we're going to go to verse 7. And after this I saw in night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, terrifying and dreadful and exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth, it devoured and broke in pieces, stamped what was left with its feet. It was different from all beasts before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one. Before this, the 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots, and behold, its eyes and the horns were like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. As I looked, the thrones were placed, and the ancients of days took his seat. In his clothing white as snow, and the head of his hair was pure wool, and his throne of fiery flames, its wheel of burning fire. A stream of fire issued and came from before him. 1,000 served him, and then 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court sat in judgment, and the books were open. And then I saw the great words that the horn was speaking, and as I looked, the beast was killed, and its body destroyed, and given over to be burned with fire. So what we're seeing here is the fourth beast, by many scholars, and is always attributed to Rome. So you see 4 beasts coming in, and you see a 4th kingdom of iron. That usually stands for Rome in the case of it. And so you see 10 horns, okay? And you see that's the line from Caesar all the way down to Titus. 10 kings arise in Rome, basically. 10 emperors. And I'm starting it with Julius Caesar. And Titus was the one who actually destroys Jerusalem, breaks down the temple, and tears it down brick by brick. So then he says, as I look, and then the 3 horns that were plucked off, they were 3 the year of the 4 emperors. 3 kings just kind of were collapsed after the death of Nero, one after another until Vespasian wins. His son Titus is the one who succeeds Vespasian. And so now we're going to go and we're going to continue this in Mark 13. And then he goes and he says, but concerning that day, no one knows, or even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, only the Father. Being on your guard, keep awake, for you do not know when the time will come. It is like man going on a journey. When he leaves home, he puts his servants in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to stay awake. Therefore stay awake, do not know when the master of the house is coming. Is it in the evening, the midnight, or the rooster crows, in the morning, lest he come suddenly and you fell asleep? For I say to you, you will stay. For I say to all, stay awake. So he's saying, hey, this is going to be a while. I don't know when I'm going to return, but I will return. This is like his last departing message before he leaves. And so before this, I want to kind of go to Daniel 7, because you might not be entirely convinced that he's talking about the desolation, which is a big theme. So we're going to go all the way to chapter 12. And we're going to talk about the abomination. And then he's having a conversation with Michael, and then he says, then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, 2 stood, one on the bank of the stream, and one on the stream. And someone said to him, the man clothed in linen, who was the waters of the stream? How long shall it be till the end of these waters? And I heard the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the stream. He raised his right hand, his left hand, toward the heaven, and swore to him who lives forever, that it would be for a time, times and half a time. that when we shatter the power of the holy people comes to all these things would be finished. I heard, but I did not understand. Then he said, O my Lord, what shall the outcome of these things? He said, Go your way, Daniel, for the words that are shut up and sealed until the time of the end. Many shall purify themselves and make themselves white and refined, but the wicked shall act wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand. But these things who are wise will understand it. From that time that regular burnt offerings are taken away, the abomination that makes desolate is set up. There shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he who waits and arrives at the 1,335th day. But go your way till the end, and you shall rest, and shall stand on your allotted place at the end of the days. So what they're saying is these things happen in place. Daniel spoke about the abomination because he spoke to a people that was in exile, and they were wanting deliverance. And so Daniel's prophecy, and he's saying, hey, all these things need to take place. Just as Jesus is saying in Mark 13 that all these things have to take place, but he's also at the same time talking about the destruction and desolation of the temple and the dispersion of people. It's very interesting that even in Mark 13, that when we read the historical accounts, the Jews were actually mad at the Christian population of Israel, and because they left. As soon as they heard about the Jewish rebellion against Rome, they all left. They were like, we are out. Because they took it and they realized what was going on. They realized that that this is what Christ was warning them about, that the abomination and desolation was now about to take place. So I hope you learned from this video, and if you like more, please give me a like.